I'm Rebecca Cárdenas, and I'm going to explain as many details as I can about my scale model, which takes the eras of the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and New Spain. The Saint Denis Basilica is famous for being the first church that was built in the Gothic style, and also for being the burial place for most of the kings of France. And it is located in Saint Denis, that is near Paris, and it has the title of minor basilica. Jacques Sellerière and François de Fret are the main architects of the basilica, and Dagoberto I was the first king that wanted to be buried in Saint Denis, and it has the first organ that was built, and the basilica is described as a prototype of the theology of light. Then we have the Tempietto, that is a building from the Renaissance, and it is a small circular chapel that was erected in the courtyard of San Pietro in Montorio in Rome, on the supposed place where the crucifixion of Saint Peter's was taken. It was commissioned by Ferdinand and Isabella of Spain, and it was built in 1502 after designs made by Donato Bramante. It was built on the spot of the Saint Peter's crucifixion, and the design was inspired by a particular type of classical temple built on a circular plane and surrounded by columns. Then we have the Palace of Mines of the New Spain period, and it was an architectural work from the neoclassicism in America. It was designed and constructed from 1797 to 1813 by the architect and sculptor Manuel Tolsa, with the purpose to give place to the real mining seminary in which specialists in the mine exploitation were formed. And it can be found in Mexico City in the Tacuba Street in front of the Plaza Manuel Tolsa. This building had several functions and gave shelter to many groups, like the Special School of Engineering before it was transferred to the UNAM, and it served as barracks during the Mexican Revolution. Going back to the Middle Ages, we have the most representative paintings that are Agape Feast and the Good Shepherd. Agape Feast, it represents the Eucharist, which is the commemoration of Jesus' Last Supper, in which he gave bread and wine to his disciples with the words, "This is my body and this is my blood." And that meal, that commemorative meal, was taken before his crucifixion. The Last Supper is described in the Bible in the books of Matthew, Luke, and Mark. This work seeks to strengthen the bonds and the spirit of harmony, goodwill, and congeniality, as well as to forgive past disputes and instead love each another. The Good Shepherd, it is an image used to represent when Jesus Christ is depicted as the Good Shepherd who lays down his life for his sheep. It is described in the Gospel of John when Jesus said, "I am the Good Shepherd." In the Middle Ages, Gospels were the main inspiration for paintings, and the Good Shepherd is the most common of the symbolic representations of Jesus Christ found in the early Christian art and in the catacombs of Rome. In Renaissance, we have the betrothal of the Virgin and the Last Supper. The betrothal of the Virgin is the marriage of the Virgin, also known as Lo Sposalizio, and is an oil painting by the Italian High Renaissance Raphael. It was completed in 1504 for the Franciscan Church of San Francisco. The painting depicts the marriage between Mary and Joseph, and it changed hands several times before selling in 1806 at the Pinacoteca di Brera. And then we have the Last Supper, that is one of the most famous artworks in the world, painted by Leonardo da Vinci, probably between 1495 and 1498, and it took approximately 3 years to be completed. It describes the scene in Matthew in which Jesus tells his disciples that one of them is going to betray him, and later he established the Eucharist. According to Leonardo's belief, the posture, the gesture, and the expressions should manifest the notions of mind each one of the 12 disciples reacts in a manner that Leonardo considered fit for that man's personality. In order to accomplish this artwork, Leonardo had to make a complex study of varied human emotions that was rendered in a simple composition. Well, these were all the details I was able to give in just 5 minutes about my scale model. There are missing a lot of details, but in 5 minutes I think I covered one of the important things of each era. Thanks.